Welcome, true creators. Swag here. In today's video, here's another installment in our widget series. We're adding a magic bar. It's fast, it's easy, it's simple. Let's not waste any time and let's get started. Okay, to start out with, let's go ahead and head over to the Mixamo site and grab two assets. The first asset we're going to grab is this XBot. Just go ahead and type in XBot and select it and hit download. And then we're just going to download the default here, okay? All right, the next asset we're going to grab is on the Mixamo. We're just going to grab this standing two-handed magic attack one, okay? And when we download it, we're just going to select download, and we're going to do it without the skin, okay? And then you would just select download. Now, me personally, I have it in my download folder, but I'm going to transfer it to the desktop and then go from there. I'll see you inside the project. Okay, now this is currently a third-person project inside of 5.5, and all we're going to do is right here on the content level, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to create a folder, and we're just going to call it Mixamo. And we're going to go in that folder, and we're going to import the actual XBot. Now, I have it set inside of my desktop, which is right here. So just grab the XBot here, and we can just go ahead and implement that. And then for this part here, yeah, we're just going to just go ahead and leave everything at default and hit import. Now, right here, we're going to do a Control-Shift-S, and that's going to allow us to save everything that we have here. We're going to right-click again, and we're going to do a folder, and we're going to type in animations. We're going to double-click, go into the animations folder. We're going to import our standing two-handed magic attack. So we'll do that right here. And then for this part here, it's important that we use the skeleton that we just did, which is going to be the XBot. Okay, so right under here under skeleton, select your XBot and then hit import. Now do a Control-Shift-S. And then while we have this here is, now just to explain, the reason I had you make this extra folder even for one animation is just to show you a good way to practice on how to import your animations. All right. Now, if you don't have, if we're in a newer version of the Unreal Engine, you can actually use like a punch animation instead of this. You don't have to use the Mixamo animation. So now let's just go ahead. We're going to right click this. We're going to select retarget. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the two-handed here. And right here under the target skeleton, we're just going to type in simple. And we're going to select the mannequin. Okay. And then we're just going to not select this one. We're going to select export animation. And we want to make sure that we put it inside of the Mixamo animations folder. For the prefix, we're going to do QNY underscore. And then we're going to hit export, and that'll give us a copy of this animation for our default character. Control-Shift-S, and then close. Now, another good form of practice is while we have this here, we're going to right-click this, and instead of retarget, we're going to create an anim montage, because there's a good chance we'll probably use that later. And you can leave it as its default name and hit enter, Control-Shift-S. Okay, for this next part, we're going to go to our content folder, and we're going to go right here, and we're going to go into the third person, into the blueprint, and then right here, we're just going to right-click, and we're going to make something called a user interface. Right under here, under widget blueprint, we're going to just go ahead and make a regular user widget. We're going to type the word in W underscore, and we're just going to call this main UI. And we'll hit enter, Control-Shift-S, and we'll double click that and go inside of that actual blueprint here. Now, to start out with, we're going to need a canvas panel, and you just drag and drop that onto the main UI. And then next, we're going to need a progress bar. So drag and drop the progress bar onto the canvas panel. And then right here, we can just go ahead and move this right here to where we want it. and we can just go ahead and drag it out and make the bar where we want it. I'm just going to put it here in the lower middle, like this. All right, and then make sure we do a compile and save. Now, right here, where if you look while the bar is highlighted, okay, meaning you've selected it, well, let's go ahead and change it. We're just going to call this magic bar, okay? Compile, save. And then what we want to do right here is under the progress bar right here, we're going to, instead of filling it from left to right, we're going to do it from right to left. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to open up the style tab right here. And for this color here, for the background, we're going to change this. Now, this is going to be the background of the bar. We're just going to put it right here. And we're going to use a dark blue because that seems to be pretty popular in most games. And then, once you have it to where you want it, see, just hit OK. And we can reminimize that back. Now, for this next part, if you look under Appearance under Fill and Opacity, if you double click this, this is the blue we want. But I'm just going to change it a little bit. I want it to be more of a richer blue. Now you can do it any way you want, but that's what I'm doing right here. So we're going to make it just kind of a really deep blue, if you will, right? And we're going to hit OK. Now, for the next part here, we need to go back to, well, let's go ahead and do a compile and save. Now, just so we can see this in action, we're just going to go ahead and go to the progress part right here. And under %, we're just going to drag this. And now you can see how the bar will fill and empty. So we're going to put it all the way to 1.0 and then do a compile and a save again. Another important thing, while you're here, make sure you anchor it by the lower middle right here or wherever you are. Like I said, what happens in this is if the screen size changes, this will always be in the general location. That's what the anchoring's for, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and move over to the graph. Okay, for the logic of this, all we're going to do is we're going to select all this here, and we're going to go ahead and delete that. We're going to grab the magic bar that we created and drag it onto here. We're going to use get. Now, right here, we're going to drag off of here, and we're going to type in set %. Now, we don't want this one, which is a variable. We want the actual function. We're going to drag off of this function here, and we're going to type in the word divide. We're going to use the operator of divide. And right here, always keep our code neat. We're going to create a custom event. So we're just going to type in CUST and enter, and that'll bring up the custom event. And we're going to type in update magic bar. And then we're going to connect that up there. Now, for this top one, we're just going to drag this one here. That's going to be A. We're going to select this, drag that, and that's going to be B. Now, right here, we're just going to type in magic. And then down here, max magic. Do a compile and a save. Now that that's set, let's go ahead and move on to our third-person blueprint character. So just open him up or her up. Now, right here, we're going to make we're going to use what we just made there, but we're going to need to do an event begin play. Now, with this event begin play, we're going to right click here and we're going to do a create widget. Connect that up. Then right here, we're going to choose the class of main UI, which is this which we just made, okay? Make sure you do a compile and save frequently so you don't lose your work. Because sometimes, unfortunately, the engine does crash. Now, right here, we're going to drag off of here and we're going to select promote variable. And then I'm just going to right click over here and undock this just so it's not going back and forth. Now, right here, we're gonna just go ahead and name this main UI ref, okay? Do a compile and a save. Now, once we do the begin play and everything, we're going to have to drag off of here, and we're gonna need to add that to the viewport. Like that. Compile and save. And if you want, you can just select all this, hit the C button, and you can just say create UI. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me double check that here. Create main UI. Okay. And we can do a compile and a save. We can close this right here. And what we can do also is, just for the heck of it, we can do a bubble, chat bubble here. So that way when you zoom out, you can see it more clearly. And we can change this to white just to make it stick out. Okay. So do a compile and a save. Okay, so while we're here, what we can do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make some variables here, okay? So we're gonna make the first one, we're just gonna call it magic. And whenever we do this, it's just called current magic. Think of it that way. And we're gonna change this into a float. And then what we can do is we can add another variable, and we can call this max magic. Okay, do a compile and a save. Now, to start this off, I'm gonna make a function, okay? So right here, we're just gonna hit the plus sign, and we're gonna call this f magic logic. Okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna build this real quick, and then I'll explain it afterwards, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, so here's what we got. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're taking the magic function. It's going to basically trigger this. It's going to deduct everything. But now, right here, we're going to need to add these values. So make sure you add 100 to both the magic current and 100 for the max magic, okay? And do a compile and save. And then from that, it's going to not allow us to go over the max or below 0. And then it's going to set it to the new thing, and it's going to update this percent bar. Now, we will have to add something here in a minute, but we got to first go back into the main graph and then update that, make logic. So let's go back to our event graph. And then what we can do is, I guess we can go to the side right here. Okay, so now that we're here, we're gonna make two quick real custom events. Now I'm teaching this kind of backwards. When you actually build the code yourself, you're probably gonna build it the opposite way, but I'm doing this to simplify it for you, okay? So let's go ahead and make these two custom events real quick. We're just typing CUST and enter. That'll give us our custom event. We're gonna type in magic effects. And then right here, we're going to type in cust again. And we're gonna do magic regen, okay? Put that up here a little bit, and we can just line these up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna build the code like I did before, and then I'm gonna explain what's going on. All right, make sure you do a compile and save. All right, here we go. Okay, so, all right, let's go ahead and see what we got with this code here. All right, so whenever we trigger our regen, it's gonna delay for 7 seconds, right? And it's going to trigger this. If the character is at 0, and that's true, it's gonna go and it's gonna take the current magic and set it to the max magic, which will refill the bar. Now right here, we grab from our UI, which is down here, from our main menu widget up here. We can do a compile and save. And we got the magic bar and we're grabbing its percent. Now, when we fill it up, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and put 1 here. Because remember, when we drag that percent, it goes from 0 to 0.1 to 0.2 to 1. That'll fill up the bar. So the max magic in that is doing that. That's the regen mechanic. Now, for this other part, this magic effects part, this is going to be kind of what happens as the effect is going, okay? Now, what we're going to do is, what we're going to select for this is, for the sound, we can go over here, we can select a sound, and we're just going to, let's just select maybe explosion maybe. Let's see, explosion. So we'll do, we can even hit play here. Or we can do this one. It doesn't matter. So every time we cast, it'll do that. Now, right here, we're going to, for the emitter, we're also going to change that to that tutorial sparks emitter, I believe. Yes. Now you can change it to whichever one. I mean, we could even do like the fire or whatever. So let's see, sparks. I'm going to do, yeah, we can do the, let's see. Let's do tutorial particles. Why not? Okay. And that's that little fire one, which is, it's cool. Now, we're going to attach it. The attach point is going to be hand underscore L. So what I'm doing here, instead of giving you like a socket or anything, I'm just casting it straight from the actual bone of the character, okay? And then right here for the location, we're going to do 25 by 25. And that's just going to give us the position on away from the hand of that left hand, okay? Now, right here for rotation, we're going to do a minus 90, okay? Because we want the fire to rotate forward, okay? And that's kind of what's going on with that. And then for the Z scale, we're just going to make this 2, just to make it a little bit bigger, okay? Next, we need to snap to target location by keeping the word scale right here, okay? Right here, make sure you set your delay to 1.5. And then destroy both components. Now, you're destroying the component from here. See that? So we're dragging off and we're connecting here. And we're also grabbing from here and dragging all the way over here. And that's how that logic is built. Now, we're going to need to go back to our F-Magic logic, right? And we're going to right click here and we're going to need that magic effects because we want that to trigger every time we fire. And we want to do it within this component here. So let's go ahead and select the magic effects, connect that, and that's how we have it. Compile and save. Let's go back to the event graph, okay? Okay, for this next part, we're going to create one more variable and a custom event. So for the variable, we're going to say is casting, right? Because that's what you do in Magic with a question mark. You cast the magic spell, right? So we're going to set this to a Boolean. So it'll tell us if we are or aren't casting, okay? The next thing we want to do is, I'm sorry, not a custom event. We're going to right click and I'm going to use the left mouse button to trigger our event. So every time we cast a spell, we'll just do it by hitting the left mouse button, okay? Now, here's the part where basically I'm going to write out the logic again, and then after that, I'll explain it. Ready? All right, here we go. Okay, so now let me go and explain this part of the logic. So right here, we're going to select the left mouse button, and the only way this will work is if it's false, or if it's true, then you're not going to do nothing. So if you hit 0, or if you're casting, then the character won't be able to do anything, okay? So it won't be able to cast. Now we're going to activate the logic here on the false, and we're going to set this part to true. So we want to say, yes, now we're casting the spell. We're activating all that magic logic from up here, the actual magic logic, which has all the stuff in there. we dragged from here to get the mesh, and we're playing the montage. Now, earlier we prepared our montage. We should only have one in a new project, and that should be it right here. For the play rate, because it's a little bit slow, I just added a 2. So I made it double the speed of this here. Now you could do this in animation, but I figured we could just do it right here, okay? Next, you wanna make sure the complete and the interrupt are both connected to the set is casting and leave that at false. Then after that, we're gonna hit our regen thing. If you double click this, the cool thing is it goes right here and then you see what happens. 7 seconds it waits, if it hits 0, all this stuff fires off and it replenishes everything, okay? Do a compile and a save. Okay, before we test anything, I wanna go back to the magic logic section and we're gonna go right over here, okay? And I made a slight mistake here. So right here for the subtraction, we don't need this right here. We're gonna delete that because we don't wanna subtract the whole maximum magic. We only want to subtract 20. So what'll happen is because this is 100, you should be able to cast this 5 times before it resets, okay? So do a compile and a save. Sorry guys, even I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. But hopefully you're following along and you caught that. So, okay, so there was one more thing I had thought about. And if we go back to the event graph, right? Okay, and right here where the actual left mouse button logic is, right here, what's happening is it's going to complete very quickly, and if you spam this logic, it's gonna mess it up. So here's a quick simple fix we can do. So we can just hold down the D button and hit the left mouse button. And then what we wanna do is we wanna take this here, we're gonna drag this over, okay? And we're gonna hold down the control button on the keyboard, do a left mouse click, and we're gonna grab this, and we're gonna put this 0.2 of a delay in, and we're gonna add it right here, okay? And keep the code nice and neat. And then what that'll do is that'll give us a little delay, so not right at complete. So if you click it multiple times, what'll happen is the actual logic within here will keep playing, okay? But with this, it'll delay it just enough to where it shuts off the casting to where it won't mess up that. So make sure we do a compile and a save. Okay, now there's one other thing I wanted to take care of, which is right here. So right here, we're just gonna move this forward just a little bit. And what I wanna do here is I wanna grab all this right here. We're going to move this over here a bit, okay? And we're gonna hold down the Alt key and we're just gonna left click these pens here. And we just wanna switch the delay around. Oh, sorry, let's click off there. We're gonna grab the delay and we're gonna switch it and put it right here. So that way when it fires on the true side, it'll give that delay. Because for some reason, what I noticed is it automatically refills it. So this should solve that problem. So we're gonna hit compile and save. Okay, now that that's all done, let's go ahead and check this out. Let's go to the map and we're gonna hit the play button. And then right here, we're just gonna walk up and we can cast our spells by doing the left click. And if you notice, you can spam it and it doesn't repeat because of the casting time. And then now, if you click, you're out of juice. So now, no more magic use. 7 seconds later, you're going to see the magic bar come back and we can cast again. Nice, you completed the video. Let's see what you can do with the next one. Let's go.